You're listening to Financial Advisor Marketing, the best show on the planet for financial advisors who want to get more clients without all the stress. You're about to get the real scoop on everything from lead generation to closing the deal. James is the founder of theadvisorcoach.com, where you can find an entire suite of products designed to help financial advisors grow their businesses more rapidly than ever before. Now, here is your host, James Pollard.
Hello and welcome to Financial Advisor Marketing. If you're a brand new listener, I'm glad to have you here. If you've been listening since day one, welcome back. I welcome you with open arms. And this episode is going to be pretty fun. It's 5 business lessons that financial advisors can learn from Tony Soprano. But there's one thing that I want to address. I have been getting a lot of emails from people who listen to this show who are apparently not on my email list, Jonathan.
What? How dare they?
How dare they? They hear me talk about sending emails and they want to get on my list. So what's been happening is I've been getting emails from people that I don't really know, but although I'm glad to get to know them and introduce myself to them, but they say, hey, please add me to your list. Please add me to your email list. Well, if that's you, and I appreciate it, I really do. You know, it's nothing against these people. It's just that there's a very easy way to opt in rather than having a back and forth and wasting your time and wasting my time. So if you want to get on the email list, which is every day I send an email out, please go to theadvisorcoach.com/57. And there are 2 numbers, 57. So like 56, 57, 58, theadvisorcoach.com/57. And it's a very bland page. It's got a single opt-in, which is 57 marketing tips for financial advisors. So put your email in there and you will begin receiving emails every single day, even on the weekend, sometimes twice on Sunday, from me. Sound good, Jonathan? People getting on the email list?
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about, isn't it? To get that daily dose.
The daily dose of financial advisor marketing goodness so you can get more clients and less stress. So on to the episode. And like I said, it's going to be a fun episode because we're going to talk about The Sopranos. And this episode will be helpful even if you've never seen a single episode. So please don't shy away. Don't X out of this podcast or hit pause simply because you've never seen the show. It doesn't really matter, although I highly recommend it. And I remember like when the movie Miracle came out about the 1980 hockey team, there were a lot of people in my social circle who were like, oh, I don't want to watch that movie because I'm not a hockey fan. It's like, well, you don't have to be a hockey fan. Just like with this, you don't have to be a Sopranos fan, or even you don't even have to know anything about the Sopranos, because I'm going to connect everything to financial advisors. But I do want to warn you, if you do decide to watch the Sopranos, there are a lot of F-bombs in it, a lot of S-bombs and a lot of GD bombs, every bomb you can think of. And this was a pretty big deal back in the day, but actually, it's kind of tame compared to some of the stuff on TV now. And Jonathan, do you watch Game of Thrones at all?
I have not watched it this season. I buy it at the end of the season, so don't go spoiling it.
I'm not going to spoil it. So, but what I will tell you is that a few weeks ago, I got suckered into watching it. And I have never seen a single episode of Game of Thrones. And I started watching it. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but one of the episodes, there's just a lot of violence in it. I mean, this is no shocker to you if you've seen it before, but that kind of stuff is much, much worse than The Sopranos. So that kind of makes The Sopranos look tame. And if you want to watch it, make sure you check it out. And you'll be watching the actor James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano. And I personally believe that he was absolutely perfect for that role. I don't think there was anyone else who was better suited for that role than him. And it's pretty sad because he passed away at a young age. I mean, he was only 51 when he died. But people loved this guy so much that even the governor of New Jersey showed up to his funeral. And all the flags in New Jersey, they were flown at half staff that day, Jonathan.
No kidding. For Gandolfini, eh?
Mm-hmm. They love this guy. So what I want to do is I want to connect some lessons that you can learn from Tony Soprano to the financial advisor marketing world. And the very first lesson is that Tony never forgets that the goal is to make money. That's his mission. He stays focused on his business endeavors. He doesn't get distracted by all the other stuff. And financial advisors, they need to have a clear goal. They need to stay focused on it, just like Tony Soprano did. Lots of financial advisors say they want to make more money. They talk a lot. They give a lot of lip service to this, but then they waste their time doing other stuff. Words don't matter. actions matter. What you do, that matters. And let me ask you, Jonathan, how's your sleep tracking going?
Oh, God. You asked me today of all days. I got like a 60 on my sleep.
Ooh, I can't even remember the last time I got a 60, but hey, more power to you. Keep doing you. See, Jonathan is taking action to improve his life because he's improving his sleep quality. So I imagine that at some level, Jonathan, a goal for you was to improve your health or improve your sleep, correct?
Better sleep was what I wanted. And this has sent me down a rabbit hole, and I kind of hate you a little bit for it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it is kind of tough. Once you get suckered into that rabbit hole, you're kind of like, oh, I need to do this, or there's this little sexy tip or hack. And there are a few fundamental things you could do. Like going to bed at the same time, not having caffeine, but you have a goal and you work.
I have to ask you, I don't care that it's not part of this show, but like how much deep sleep do you get per night? 2 to 3
hours.
Good God, man.
I mean, well, and here's the thing. I don't want to send the message that, well, anyone can get more deep sleep, but let me preface this by saying that some people are more geared towards deep sleep than others, and we are really getting down the rabbit hole here. But if you get your genetics tested through like 23andMe, one of the things that they explain is whether or not you have a genetic predisposition to being a light sleeper or a deep sleeper. I personally, I have been blessed with a genetic disposition to sleep deeply. So
explains a lot.
My deep sleep is not indicative of an average. It's a part of genetic blessing, I guess, and then part habit and what I've done. Yeah, I actually struggle with REM sleep, and that's actually a blessing too, because if you have too much REM sleep, your brain could be foggy. You could wake up rested technically, but you still have brain fog and you're not really thinking clearly because REM sleep takes up a lot of your brain's energy.
Yeah.
So I personally struggle with REM sleep. It seems like every single night I have a high score on everything, latency, deep sleep, everything except REM sleep. So that's personally what I struggle with. But yeah, I'm supposed to do
I took you way off track. I knew it.
So,
Sorry about that.
It is what it is. Now, on to number 2 from Tony Soprano. This is another lesson you can learn from Tony. He provides a clear structure. He's the boss. So I know there's some confusing at the beginning of the show. If you watch it or if you've watched it before, there's some confusion because people don't really know if it's him or if it's Junior. But eventually he breaks through and he lets everyone know that he is the one running the show. And as a financial advisor, you have to do the same thing. And it's not just with your employees either. If you have employees, it's not just with them. You have to do the same thing with your clients. You have to realize that you are the scarce resource. You can always go out and get more clients, but there's only one of you. And too many financial advisors operate with a scarcity mentality. They think that there aren't enough clients to go around, and it's not true. These financial advisors, they freak out if they lose one client, and they can't stand the thought of having a prospect walk away. My philosophy is you should have so many prospects in your pipeline that you can afford to let some go. You should have so many clients that it doesn't matter. I mean, just literally does not matter if you lose some of them. You can keep operating. And I try to operate my business that same way, Jonathan. I've got try to get so many financial advisors coming in through the door. I try to get so many financial advisors listening to this podcast that if one has a little attitude or doesn't believe me or gives me a rough time, I say, hey, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Not everybody likes that. Not everybody likes that, Jonathan.
But the people that do love it, don't they?
They do. And actually, I mean, I don't know if you've checked out the reviews for this podcast, Jonathan, but it looks like the top is getting reviews and the bottom is getting reviews. So I'm getting like
one star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm getting 1-star reviews and I'm getting 5-star reviews. But I mean, I haven't checked in like a week, but it seems as if there's not really any 2, 3, or 4-star reviews. It's just either people love me or they hate me. And you can see that in the podcast reviews.
Fun.
And it hurts sometimes to get the 1-star review or a negative review, but you have to realize that it's not connected with your business, because the people who are leaving negative reviews, the people who are saying bad things, they're probably never going to do business with you anyway. And even if they did do business, they would give you a hard time. They would be difficult to deal with. They would complain. They would whine. They would moan. They would bellyache. And you don't want that. And it's kind of like with financial advisors when they approach a prospect and the prospect says something like, oh, well, I don't have any money saved for retirement, or I don't believe in financial planning. So you don't want to fight that uphill battle. You don't want to try to convince this person on the merits of what you're doing. You're just going to be banging your head against the wall. If someone says that, do you really feel rejected? If someone rejects the merits of financial planning, or they say, I'm just going to play the lottery, right? That's my retirement plan.
Scratch offs.
Scratch off tickets coming up. Give me 5 of those number 20s. Do you really feel rejected by this person? Like, get real. It blows my mind.
Do you a favor, right? I mean, they just told you up front, don't waste your time with me.
Hey, financial advisors. Are you ready to take your business to the next level and get more clients with less stress? I invite you to join the James Pollard Inner Circle, a paper and ink newsletter that gets delivered directly to your door every month. When you join now, you'll also get a 90-minute instant download called 5 Keys to Success for Financial Advisors, a $97 value for absolutely free. All you have to do is head over to theadvisorcoach.com/newsletter and join today.
Bingo. They did you a favor. When they say that type of stuff, you just walk away and take them out of your pipeline, replenish them. There's more people out there. You are the scarce resource. There are more prospects than you can ever get. And if you don't believe me, just go to LinkedIn, type in an occupation that you want to target as a niche. There are thousands and thousands and thousands. And it would take a huge amount of time for you to get through all of these people. And that's how you're operating your business. And Tony Soprano understands that. He knows that there's more people, more business out there, more opportunities, more waste management, as he says in the show, than he can deal with. Now, next lesson. And I think this is really important, although this is pretty difficult to actually operate with in the real world. And it's that Tony wants feedback to his face. He does not want people talking behind his back. And this is important because you want constructive criticism wherever you can get it. Don't get offended. Don't take this stuff personally. If it's truly constructive criticism and not people complaining and whining and belly aching, if it's truly constructive, you want it wherever you can get it. So encourage your friends, your colleagues, your prospects, your clients to give you feedback. You want to figure out how you're doing. You want to send your tentacles out there, your antenna out there to figure out what you're doing well, what you're not doing well. And if you're doing something wrong, you don't want to keep doing it. That's why you want this feedback. And I try to do the same thing in my own life. Again, I'm trying to tie this back to me practicing what I preach because it's an important point to have. I send out surveys. I talk with my customers. Inner Circle members have my direct email line. They can get in touch with me whenever they want, ask me anything I'm qualified to answer. And I have my tentacles, antenna, whatever you want to call it. I have it directly on the pulse of financial advisors. And I'm constantly getting feedback. And people send me emails about ideas for this show, Jonathan, and I take it to heart.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it because I'm open to feedback and I want to make my product as good as possible. I want to make this podcast as good as possible. And I can't do that without feedback. And I understand. But most people don't want feedback. They just put themselves behind this wall. They put up their guard. They wrap themselves in their comfort zone and they avoid all types of feedback. And that's what you don't want to do because you can't improve. And even if you try to improve, you're just guessing. You're making assumptions about what other people want. You're not using evidence, whether it's hard data or whether it's anecdotal evidence about people saying, hey, maybe you should discuss more deep sleep stuff on the podcast. If somebody sent me an email saying that and they gave me like a legitimate reason, I would probably do like half an episode talking about deep sleep. I mean, just being real.
All right. I'll get my other email address fired up.
Yeah, my name is not Jonathan, and I'm asking about deep sleep. Moving on. Yeah, don't.
Say it to my face, right? Tony Soprano.
Say it to my face if you want some deep sleep stuff. Send me an email. We want feedback to our faces. Anyway, number 4. And this is important too. All of these points, all 5 of them are important, but I need to practice this one, and it's that Tony Soprano sits back and relaxes sometimes. So yeah, he's out there doing his thing, getting his money, running his operation, his waste management. But he also takes time to just chill. I mean, whether it's at home by the pool or at his favorite restaurant or little pastry shop, I mean, he just gives himself time to de-stress. And I really should take this advice. I don't relax as much as I should. So maybe I need to do that. Although I may be doing something right because I'm getting a lot of deep sleep. So
yeah, I know. I'm thinking the same thing, you bastard.
Maybe working hard gives me those results. Now, I don't think you should ever sit back and rest on your laurels. There's a difference. You're going to relax, you're going to de-stress, you're going to chill out for some time. But that does not mean resting on your laurels. Because there are some financial advisors who make a couple $100,000 and they're like, oh, I'm good. Yeah, like this is the American dream and whatever justification they have to stop growing, that's what they do. And it's heartbreaking because by the time you get to like mid six figures as a financial advisor, you have got the stuff. You've got the juice, man. You have the infrastructure in place. You got the people skills in place. You've got a solid base of clients that can be a referral machine for you. You've probably got a solid marketing budget in place. So for those people, Jonathan, to rest on their laurels when they've got everything they need to grow, to catapult their success, is absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. So
depends on who you are. If you're their competitor, you're pretty happy.
Absolutely. You would be thrilled that these people would just rest on their laurels. And we're going to talk about that in competition in a future podcast episode. It's going to be like 5 or 6 episodes down the line. I've got it in the back of my mind, some things that you can do to outsmart your competitors, outbox your competitors. And one of the things, actually, I mean, it's just what we're talking about right now. You want to take some time to de-stress because that's when the ideas come to you. When you just get away, when you relax for a little bit, you have these insights, you have these breakthroughs. And I know I mentioned off the air to Jonathan that I just got done traveling. I've been all around the East Coast for like the past 3 weeks. And I have gotten more ideas in the past 3 weeks than I have gotten in all of 2019 so far. So that's what happens when you take a step back. Now, like I said, don't rest on your laurels, but you should take some time every now and then to think about everything you've accomplished and let yourself relax to get these ideas. And number 5, the 5th business lesson that you can learn from Tony Soprano as a financial advisor is that Tony understands the importance of relationships because strong relationships are great assets in business. This is especially true for financial advisors because forming the right relationships, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire, and that fires your business. And perhaps the most important relationship that a financial advisor can form is a relationship with a CPA, or multiple CPAs, I should say. And that's because accountants have such a high level of trust with their clients. Financial advisors can just walk in and help those clients with their money, with their investments, assuming that they've built trust with the CPA, of course. And CPAs are perhaps the single most important referral resource that a financial advisor can have because forming good relationships with CPAs, it's how you take a good financial advisory business and turn it into a great financial advisory business. And shameless plug, it's also why I offer there's a bonus. It's a 38-minute video training called How to Get Referrals from CPAs. And that's an absolutely free bonus when you get the 51 Referral Marketing Tips product. And if you're interested in that, go to theadvisorcoach.com, click on the products tab, and you'll see all of my products. And one of them will be 51 Referral Marketing Tips for financial advisors. So those are all the things. Well, not all the things, I should say. These are 5 of the things I've learned from Tony Soprano himself. And like I said, The Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. And I believe you can learn from everyone, no matter who they are. I remember I mentioned Donald Trump in an Inner Circle newsletter. Or, well, not just the newsletter itself, but in the emails leading up, like the promo emails, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And people got so upset. But
I bet.
It's a signal that these people can't learn from everyone. And that's a huge disadvantage. And I mentioned this in an earlier podcast episode about living in Upper Delaware and Lower Delaware, how it's given me an open mind because I've been around all these people. That's kind of what you need in life. Because the minute people hear a certain name, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, and these are just political ones, but there are other ones like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, they have biases and tons of them. And they either shut their minds off or they open their minds a little bit too much and they take everything this person says as gospel. So you got to be careful because there's evil on both sides. But anyway, the people who got really upset, they weren't Inner Circle members.
Shocking.
The Inner Circle members who read this stuff about Donald Trump, and it actually talks about his handshake and certain psychological things about how he operates, they responded favorably. I had people say, oh, I'm a staunch Democrat. I've been voting Democrat my whole life, and more power to you. I'm not a Republican or Democrat either way. But she said, I absolutely love the piece that you did on Donald Trump, and I'm going to apply it in my business. So want to keep an open mind, and it can help your business. But the lessons from Tony Soprano's: never forget your goal, keep a clear structure, get feedback. You want constructive criticism, and then you want to relax from time to time. And then you want to understand the importance of good business relationships. So go back and listen to this again. If you didn't get all 5 of those, make sure you let it sink in, and it will improve your business.
James, what do you got coming up next time?
Next time, I'm going to talk about what's called gun to the head marketing. And I think we're going to call this episode "What I Would Do If I Had to Get More Clients." So this is like gun to the head marketing stuff, Jonathan.
Oh man, can't wait.
I was inspired by some of the old copywriters who talked about gun to the head marketing. And it meant that if they had a gun to their head, what would they do to write a sales piece which got a response? So what I want to do is I want to take that same idea, and I want to talk about how if someone put a gun to my head and dropped me off in a new city where I didn't know anyone, what would I do to get more clients as a financial advisor? That's what we're talking about.
Man, cannot wait. Another financial advisor marketing podcast is in the can. We will be back in your earbuds next time. Thanks for tuning in.
This is the podcastfactory.com.